He fights fires and Decepticons. This is Inferno. Hey everybody, this is Chris, and welcome to another episode of my Transformers collection. And in front of us right here is the big red fire truck known as Inferno. You know what's funny about this guy is whether it was a toy or the character in the show or whatever, I always loved this guy. Now, ironically, I did not get the toy as a kid. That's the funny part. I actually ended up getting Grapple, which, if you know the mold, is a very, very similar figure. What you see here is actually my sealed Inferno from 1985. I picked this guy up in the 90s. It's not a knockoff or a reissue. This is actually an original sealed piece as we would have found it on the store shelves way back in the old days. And it's a really, really nice box. It really stayed in nice shape. And when I went to sell off a bunch of my sealed pieces, I just couldn't sell Inferno. He looks really good in this bubble. I don't know if it's because he fills out the whole window or what, or if it's the red with the red box, or I'm not really sure, but I always loved the way that this guy looked in the box. Now, if we go ahead and we spin the box around to the back, we see the 1985 action scene. You can see it's a little bit different than the one on Blue Streak's box, which was the 1984 action scene. You got the Dinobots, and you've got Shockwave, and a whole bunch of the 85 characters on the back. His function is search and rescue, and his quote is, "Where there's smoke, there's me." And that's true, because I remember him in the show. He obviously loved to fight fires, but he also loved beating up on some Decepticons and getting into the action. And you usually would see Red Alert and Inferno together. They were buddies, you know, they were the fire team. And I remember one of my favorite episodes of Generation 1 was called Auto Berserk, and that's when paranoid Red Alert started having a problem, all caused by Inferno basically not being there. And it all ends in a nice, gushy, lovely friendship way, which is what it's all about in 80s cartoons, right? Yeah. And here is Inferno, nicely torn out of the box for your convenience. Obviously, I didn't take it out of the original sealed piece. This is actually from the commemorative series reissue that Toys R Us carried in 2003. It's essentially the same exact figure, but there are, much like Blue Streak, there are a few differences which I will point out as we go along, but this will allow us to take a closer look at Inferno. Now, if you pick up the figure, the original G1 figure came with an instruction manual and a sticker sheet and all that good stuff. And he also came with an extinguisher rifle, 2 hose nozzles, 2 fists, and 3 silver missiles. Here is a close-up of Inferno in vehicle mode, and he looks great. He's a really cool looking figure. I don't know, maybe it's the bright red, or maybe it's my strange fascination with fire engines, but I just think he looks great. He's got rubber tires, he moves really, really nice. He's a good size. You know, he's a pretty long figure, which makes him nice. He's got some nice details. I mean, he has chrome here on the side, and he's got this wrapped up hose and some detail in the plastic. It's really, really nice. There's some die-cast metal in his feet on the back. And on the cab here is an Autobot symbol and an FD symbol. Those are actually stamped onto this particular one. The original figure, if you take a peek here in the bubble of my sealed piece, you'll notice actually has a sticker for the FD. It also has a decal for the Autobot symbol. This particular commemorative series reissue has them actually stamped onto the cab. Also, if you open it up here, there's a little seat. And one more thing, let's not forget, oh yeah, it's a working ladder. You know, when it comes to show accuracy, the Generation 1 toys are kind of Sometimes they're okay, sometimes they're not, and I feel that Inferno really, really looks like his G1 show counterpart, both in vehicle and robot. I always thought he looked great. You know, the head sculpt is nice. This particular one has blue eyes instead of yellow eyes, which is one change that the commemorative series actually had. The other thing they changed was this firing mechanism no longer fires. See, it's just there. It holds the piece in really well, even though it was very weak in America. The original one did actually fire out. That doesn't actually bother me. When a figure has hands that go into those firing mechanisms. I don't really care if they shoot off or not, so that doesn't really matter to me. Obviously, he has interchangeable pieces. You could put a combination of 2 fists, 2 missiles, but if you know the original cartoon, much like the instructions actually say, you'll know that, well, he has a hose coming out of his one hand, and it's normally his right arm. So the missile, to me, kind of simulates that fire hose. And so I like to keep the missile there, just for the character, I guess. I never had him as a kid. I always wanted him. I didn't get Inferno until Generation 2 Inferno came out with the water squirter. And that's actually one of the, Generation 2 was one of the reasons I started collecting in the first place. And here is Inferno with Red Alert side by side. And you can see Inferno is a pretty tall figure for that particular year. Best buds for life. Oh, Inferno, where were you? Oh, come on, Red buddy. Yes, sorry about that. And there, my friends, is Generation 1 Inferno, one of the Autobot cars from the first 2 years, and I just really like him, obviously. Yeah, he has some parts that can be lost, but you know what? So do most G1 figures, so who cares? Anyway, this is Chris, rolling out.